Hello everyone, welcome to another Crystal Point Duel Series video. My name is Lyndon and today we are bringing you Fire Earth on the left versus 5-colour Moogle Archfiends on the right. The Moogle Archfiends deck on the right is the same list as my deck tech, which I'll put in the link in the description below. So we just thought we'd play a couple of games just to showcase off the Fire Earth tribal decks and the Moogle Archfiend deck. So I start on the right, and I play Mont Blanc by discarding a Rosso. Mont Blanc is, I think, one of the more useful cards in terms of the Moogle tribe. Yeah, you pay 2 fire and Duel to choose a forward and deal it 1,000 for each Moogle you control. A very, very strong effect. If you've got quite a few on, you can quite easily kill someone. But without many Moogles, you can still use it to trade something if any Minwu effects are not present. And I'll just quickly apologise for that jump there. It's just a problem with the recording. Alec on his first turn discarded Seraphine to play a monk. He passes the turn to me, and I play a Barbarisha by discarding another Barbarisha and tapping Mont Blanc. Barbarisha is quite a strong Archfiend. Her effect can be quite devastating comboed off with any sort of ping effect at all, let alone a board wipeable ping effect. So Alec discards Haste Tifa, probably the better play because, oh yeah, plays Alarm. Yeah, Haste Tifa doesn't do anything against me while I have Barbarisha out, so Alarm's definitely the better play. Even if Alarm can't, well, it can still be blocked by Barbarisha. Ooh, so I hit the Light Cloud off the Barbarisha there, and I just play a Horn, so that's 2 Moogles out right now, which means Mont Blanc is now 2,000 damage, and Horn there will do let me draw 2 and put 2 back to the bottom. So I'm slowly building up the Moogles, while Alec is just trying to get some strong forwards out. But hitting that Light Cloud off the Barbarisha attack must have hurt. Cloud had particularly been quite a strong forward when you're trying to build up some kind of board presence. I will discard Ifrit. Yeah, again, and play the Promo Vincent. Promo Vincent will definitely probably get some work done, especially with Lon out. Together they're going to be quite a strong force against my Barbarisha alone. And he hits no-no off the attack. That's pretty bad for me. I definitely need to try and get as many Moogles as possible. Now there's only 2 no-nos left in the deck. With the Moogle Archfiend deck, you really tried to fix your colours and get as many Moogles early as possible out. So it's a bit unfortunate. So I discard Nodin here and play a Gurdy. I could kill the Vincent or the Lon here, but you just want to try and get as many Moogles in as soon as possible. And Barbarisha can always block either of those and be brought back later on with Golbez for cheap. So I just passed to Alec here. And Lon goes in with the attack, so I decide to block because Lon has to get stronger after the block, so at least I'm safe for a point of damage. Yep, so we end up trading. And then maybe Vincent goes in for the attack here? Yep, there goes the Vincent in for the attack. And Scar Miglion comes in. I just flip the X zone around, the damage zone around. Sorry for the glare, but I did try to make it so you can at least see the damage a bit better. Sadly, the lighting wasn't on my side. So second main we've got here with Alec discards Machinist and Red 13 to play a Zangan searching for a Tifa. This particular build of Southern Tribal doesn't have any Legend Tifa, so it's just going to be the starter. Or the Haste. And goes for the starter. And Alex just quickly giving the deck a quick shuffle. We're only playing friendly games, not like in a tournament or anything, so we're quite relaxed about it. So he just passes the turn to me and don't want to play anything else. I think the Zangan's perfectly fine. So I'm expecting a Tifa next turn, so there's going to be quite a bit of pressure on me next turn. So I am just trying to think how best to go about it. This Moogle deck is quite complicated. Oh, so I do get rid of a no-no here, which is pretty unfortunate. But I just play the Golbez out right now. The Golbez cost was reduced to 6 because Barbarisha was in the break zone. So I'm pretty much just abandoning no-no as a Moogle right now. And Vincent goes in as a 12k with a limit break thanks to his effect. And I'll just Leviathan it back to hand. So Golbez is safe and Alec has wasted a bit of resources there. So I feel pretty safe now. Yeah, and Alex just realising that it goes back to the hand rather than being broken. So Promo Vincent once again. He just passes the turn back to me. So he did waste an attack here with Limit Break, but he couldn't have known. When you've got a 5 or 6 colour deck, you can't assume there's going to be many summons coming up unless they've got amazing luck with fixing their colours. I'm just doing some calculations here. So I go in with the Golbez, I trigger him and choose to bring back a Archfiend from the break zone to my hand. And Alec would like to limit break for 4 blocks. So I'm going to try and, I think it might have been after blocks, but I'm not entirely sure, but in response to the limit break I Bahamut, so 2 limit breaks I've managed to shut down quite luckily. But if I didn't have an answer then, it would have killed the Golbez. Golbez is very, very crucial for the deck, which is why I had to pretty much use a Bahamut, because using Golbez I can get back more Archfiends to keep playing more cards and get more card advantage that way. So as harsh as that was to discard 3 cards for that Bahamut just to save Golbez, he's pretty much crucial for the deck success. So Alex just considering what he wants to do here. He has gone through quite a few Vincents already now, so maybe he'll be forced to go back on a Tifa. So we've got a red 13, the starter Tifa. Decides to get rid of the Cloud and play, yep, starter Tifa, and thanks to Zangan it has haste. And Hashmal goes in. That really hurt, I can tell you now. Hashmal is pretty much the key card you need to make the Moogle deck really fly off the handle, really get some crazy plays going. So I know there's still 2 more in the deck, and I've still got plenty of time to bring up some more Moogles and build up my board state. So while it did hurt, I know it's possible to bring it back quite easily. So I was just checking my break zone to see what Archfiends I can bring back, and it's obviously only Barbarossa. So second main, I'll just play Rosso. Rosso being a very strong defender card, especially for a kind of big control deck like this, where she reduces any damage done to her. So you effectively have to deal 9k to her if you want to destroy her. But combine that with Sorbet as a Moogle, and she becomes a very strong defender. As soon as she blocks, you just boost her up with Sorbet, and she becomes almost unkillable. Red 13 comes in on Alex's side and hits Tifa for 3 extra 1000 power, and there's nothing I can do about that. So I could have chumped it with Rosso, but I decided to take the damage, and another Hashmal goes into the damage zone. Feels absolutely horrendous. So now I'm pretty much just assuming I'm not going to be able to get Hashmal off this game, so I'm going to be relying more on my forwards than I am the Moogles. As strong as the Moogles are, I can't rely on them at this point. Especially when one of the no-nos is in the damage zone and one's in the break zone, I believe, from playing a Barbarossa earlier in the game. So he does have a Monk here, so if Alec has an Earth card, he can boost his Red 13 to 10k. And it took me a long time to decide what to do, so I've just cut it. And there's Sorbet, who I've just been explaining. Combined with Rosso makes a very strong blocker. And then I'll just play Barbarossa, just to get some more board presence, more Moogles. So the more Moogles, the stronger each Moogle becomes. So now Horn draws 4 cards and put 4 back to the bottom. Mont Blanc and Gurdy will deal either 4k or reduce power by 4k to an active forward respectively. And Sorbet just helps boost your defensive blocking power. So Alec is currently winning with the 7 tribal deck. It's really expected against a Moogle deck like this, Moogle Archfiend deck, where it takes forever to get set up. So you just have to accept with a Moogle deck you're going to take some early damage. Not even against an aggro deck, more of a mid-range deck, you're going to take the most damage earlier on. So I decided just to take it, and Bahamut off the top would have been extremely useful. So that's both Bahamuts gone out of the deck. So Alec goes to his second main, not wanting to attack him with Red 13. And there's Shantotto. Now, Alec did have to overpay for that, so it does pretty much decimate his hand, but it gets rid of 3 of my forwards after getting a damage in with Tifa. And losing a Golbez removed from game is horrendous for this deck, so there's very little I can do about it, but I just got to focus on rebuilding. So I'm just checking what I've got in the break zone. I think I might have another Golbez or an Asura. I forget maybe what I had. We'll soon see. I see a Cagnazo. I would not recommend playing this kind of Moogle Archfiend deck long term because it does give you a headache. So I just pass the turn. Alec really goes in for the aggression here, hits me with a Tifa, but I would like to respond to it before he declares the attack. Now I could use Odin in my hand to kill either the Vincent or the Tifa, but it's just cheaper just to discard the Odin to play Grudy's effect to kill Tifa. I really don't want to get to 6 damage and have to be forced to block from now on, especially with Vincent out, because you could potentially draw a limit break. With Shantoto and Monk, paying for limit break is not a problem. So I've got Cagnazo here, a very strong defensive Archfiend, pretty much needed in this kind of situation. And then I'll just pass. There's very little else I can do. Often with the Moogle Archfiend deck you can have many cards in hand and still not be able to do very much. So Alec is playing Machinist, quite bad against me on the whole, because you can't kill Golbez with it, but you can kill Cagnazo, so you could attack with Vincent. And at the end of Alec's turn, I'll just Odin his Vincent. I just want to make sure the board's clear while I build up. But as I was saying with Machinist, you could attack in, force Cagnazo to block and duel himself, and then break it that way. Or with fire, you can just burn it while active. Cagnazo is not very strong against fire in general. Rubicante, the fire Archfiend here, very, very strong. A little bit underrated compared to what I think most people's evaluation of it. I myself was guilty of it. I thought Rubicante wasn't very strong, but playing with it can be very, very strong if you're already winning and you just force them to block that they normally wouldn't do. Or if you're playing Fire Lightning, you need a lot of your interactions require an active forward, so you can use Rubicante's effect to your advantage by making something active, and then using maybe an Alcid combo or something like that. So I attack with Rubicante, hit a Tama, and play a Rosso. With that Cloud out, I am still a bit behind, but I'm slowly starting to build my board back up. At least while I have Cagnazo out, the Cloud isn't so bad against me. He doesn't have to duel his Cloud though, so I don't gain any board advantage. It just makes my Cagnazo duel every turn. Of course, he is. If I have any cards in hand, he does risk at this point. If I block with Rosso and I use Sorbet's effect to gain 4k on Rosso, killing the Cloud while not killing my Rosso. So Alex just considering what to do, so he's going to attack here, and I think he might want to use Omnislash. Yeah, so we do have a Cloud in hand, and he kills Rubicante with the Omnislash Cloud. I must just state that he did only pay 1 CP when he should have paid 3, so that's a bit unfortunate, but we all make mistakes. I just block with Cagnazo here just to dual Cloud, so even though my Rubicante's lost, it does, at least Cagnazo's just keeping him back. And then we see a Tifa main phase 2. Very bad, not so bad in terms of killing one of my forwards, because Water Kick will not kill either of my forwards, but it will get them out of the way. So I'm in a bit of a bad spot here, so I'm going to discard Cagnazo to activate Horn's effect to draw 4, and then put 4 to the bottom, and try and find some kind of answers. So maybe Leviathan or something on those lines. When you have that many cards in hand and you have to throw just as many as you drew away, it can be feeling pretty bad if you drew exactly what you need, and you need to just pick what you need to take out of it. And you need both cards or 4 cards. It often happens. So I think I might have drawn into a Golbez, and I'm just checking how many Archfiends I have of different names in the break zone. So yeah, all 4 are in the break zone, so I just I can play it for free. But with Cloud out, it's very, very in danger of an Omnislash. Now, Alec did draw a Hecaton chair, and apologies for another jump cut. He didn't play, sorry, he drew a Hecaton chair, which is discarded because against Moogles, Hecaton does not work. So he's played Red 13, give the 3k buff and entry to Cloud for an 11k attacker, and he hasn't chosen to activate any effects. So I'm already at 5 damage here, so I'm really considering what I have to do to try and claw back from this. So I chose to block with Cognazo and just dull, and then just wondering what's going on here, whether there's any kind of combat trick over the monk. Would buff Tifa up to 11k. Would be enough to kill both Rosso or Golbez, so it's quite a risk. So I choose to block here with Rosso. So let's just contemplate whether he wants to buff Tifa to kill off the Rosso. And he chooses to crack open the monk to give Tifa another 3k. So Tifa's now 11k and Rosso is going to die unless I do something here. So I actually decided to get rid of my final Hashmill to save my Rosso by giving Rosso an extra 4,000, and then I also ping Tifa for 4k. I believe it was Tifa. Yep, so yep. So I did actually make a mistake on my part. Rosso shouldn't have died, as the sorbet. Actually, no. Yeah, sorry, I did do that the completely wrong way. I did a massive misplay there. I actually used Hashmill rather than using sorbet. So I gave all my turned all my guys into Moogles and gave Rosso only a 1k buff. But if I just discarded the Hashmill for the sorbet effect, Rosso would have survived. So that was a massive misplay by me. And then I'll replay Rubicante. So luckily for me, that equals Golbez cannot die by the Machinist while dull. And Light Cloud is 1,000 less than my Rubicante at the moment. So I'll just decide to play a Lan. If Alec can get rid of my Cognazo in any way, then Lan can go in for a point of damage, as Lan can't be blocked by anyone stronger than him. So Rubicante and Golbez will not either be able to block, which feels pretty bad. So I decided to go on the aggressive here, use Golbez to bring back a Cognazo back, thanks to the attack trigger, which gives me the option to maybe replay a Cognazo if it somehow dies and I survive another turn, or use Horn to draw 4 cards and put 4 back to the bottom to help find more answers. And then I attack Rubicante. His effect triggers, but everyone's already active, so it doesn't matter. I like chunk blocks. I mean, none of us want to get to 6 damage at this point, because that puts us on a real bit of pressure where we have to block everything. Now, luckily you can always 2-shot Cloud with Gertie and Mont Blanc, but I don't think I have that. So I played Cloud of Darkness to wipe out some of the field. It doesn't feel that bad for me because I can always use Golbez to bring back more Archfiends from the break zone. I really just want to either throw away that Cloud or the Lan. I really hope he gets rid of the Lan because Golbez can at least block the Cloud. If he does keep alright, so he keeps the Cloud. Other than unless I bring back Rubicante, and I have another one in hand. So hopefully I can use Golbez to keep attacking with and use Rubicante to defend with. With that Machinist out, I don't dare attack him with Rubicante just yet. He Omen Slashes and only pays 2 CP instead of 3, as you see here. Does the Shantotto and Machinist, so I can't block. So there goes Barbarisha, making the Barbarisha effect less likely. So this is quite a fight for survival here. So I can attack in with Garbers for the 6 damage, so we're both on 6. It doesn't feel good at this point, where I can always bring back a Skarmiglion back to the hand to try and flash it in, but if he has another Cloud, he can just use Armor Slash to kill it and then go in for the final point. Yep, so I decided to bring back Skarm for that very reason, to flash in, and just in case he doesn't have a way. So I use Cognazo here as a blocker. So if he's going to Omni Slash, he has to Omni Slash that Cognazo. And then if he does, then I can always use the flash effect of Skarmoglion with back attack to summon it and then block the Cloud. So I'm feeling relatively safe, at least for the one more turn. I've got one that will not die if dulled, and I can flash it in on one with back attack. That's one of the biggest weaknesses with Cognazo. So he knows I've got Skarm, so I play Skarm, and I declare the block. Now he did actually say to me here that he actually made a misplay, and before blocks he should have played Brynhilda. That he does have a Brynhilda in hand to clear away the Skarmiglion after I bring it in before blocks. So Alex should have definitely won this game, but he only realised this play afterwards, and so Alex should have won the game, but he just realised that happened. And on my turn, I can use Golbez's other effect to simply dull forward on attack, and I can just dull Cloud and go for the win. So then at that point, Alex just concedes because he misplayed. But yeah, if he had used the Brynhilda, he would have easily won that. So that was the game 1, guys. Technically, it should have gone to the fire, but that's what happens sometimes. You don't often see the right play at the time. We're here for game 2. So we draw our opening hands here. In the first game, I mulliganed because I saw 2 Shantotto, and I had to get rid of a Golbez, which felt bad, but keeping 2 Shantotto was just too much. So Alex kicks off with discarding red 13 and the Machinist to play a Tifa, I believe? Oh no, a Light Cloud. So yeah, starting off with a Light Cloud with no backups can be pretty bad, but if you're going for a more hyper aggro play, this can definitely win you the game if you keep generating more and more Clouds. So I realised that I can't really deal with that Cloud right now, so I just decided to try and build up some backups with Sorbet to start with. With the Moogle deck, you really want to try and discard as many Archfiends into the break zone to play as many Moogles as possible to get both synergies going with both Moogles and Archfiends later in the game. It goes back to Alex's turn, and he goes in for an attack with Cloud with Brave. And it felt pretty bad doing that, but I had to Odin that Cloud because I had no way to answer it. No matter what forward I played, it could easily have died to Omni Slash. And doing that gets me Barbarisha into the break zone to reduce Odin down to 4 now, as Skarm is already in the break zone. So Alec is a bit on the back foot now. He doesn't quite know what to do with that. I had to discard a couple of cards to try and kill that Cloud, but it's a fair trade because he discarded 2 cards to play Cloud earlier, so we're back pretty much where we started. I just have 1 backup, and now he has a Zangan to give Tifa's haste, and he's going to go and search 1. And I assume it's the starter, as it's now second main phase. Yep, there we go. Tifa, again, almost as strong as Cloud in general, really, especially against this kind of matchup where I have very few answers to deal with strong forwards, outside of Bahamut or an Odin. So I discarded a Cloud Darkness for a Horn because Cloud Darkness doesn't do anything for me right now, and I just need to get as many Moogles as possible up. And it helps fix my element colours and gets more Moogles on for the synergies. Back with Alec now, and he's got a pretty strong idea of what he wants to play. But he knows the Moogle Archfiend deck very well. So he's kind of debating what he should do. Like I said, that his hand isn't very favourable in terms of CP element wise. It does limit his plays a little bit, so he's going to get rid of Shantotto, which is unfortunate, but play a Promo Vincent. Promo Vincent, as we've seen in the first game, getting 2 limit breaks off. If I'd known to answer it, it would have been extremely harsh. 12k with Brave and First Strike as a free coster, it's insane for that effect. But all of the power in the world doesn't stop Cognazo from simply blocking and dulling. But I think Alec has a Hector chair in his hand against my Moogle deck. Unless I play Shantotto, it does nothing. So it's pretty much just discard fodder. All Moogles are 2 CP currently, except for Mog, and Mog is not running this particular deck as it's not got ice. That Tifa is pretty harsh. He doesn't go in for the attack. I think he might be a little bit worried what's going on. And I did have a node in hand to answer it, but since it was my turn, I'm just going to play a Gurdy, as there isn't very... Out of all the Moogles, the Gurdy's are hardest to play. Because often the other lightning card you'll have in hand is a Golbez, and that you really do not want to discard it for a Gurdy if you can help it. One nice little interaction with having a Sora in the deck though is you can bring back a character cost of 2 from your break zone to your hand, so you can return a Moogle back to hand if you need to. So Alec goes in with an attack here. I block with Cognazo, standard procedure at this point, and then he gets a point of damage in with Vincent. And again, Golbez goes into the damage zone, and now I feel really bad about that. So at the end of Alec's turn, I flash in Scarm, just give me another blocker and more Archfiends to put into the break zone later in. But now there's only 2 Golbez left in the deck, it's going to be quite hard to use the synergies. So I play Rosso, just more delay tactics, as many delay tactics as I can get on, as many forwards that doesn't die very easily. Cognazo does die a little bit easier to Alec's fire deck. There's tons of summons like Brynhilda that does kill it. Water Kick by Tifa will not kill the Cognazo because it has to dull it and then deal the 6k, as it's read in the text, so Cognazo will just be dulled and then no damage will happen to it. So you can still get Cognazo out of the way, but it will not kill the Cognazo, which is my one solace. And Alec is not short on backups here. So he's already got 2 strong forwards out, so it's a question of what does he prioritise more. Does he want to go for more economy, or does he want to go full aggressive? And I've just explained to Alec that he's accidentally already got a Tifa out, and he was meant to play a Cloud. He just grabbed the wrong card by accident, and he plays Sage here to give Cloud haste, which is pretty harsh. So Cloud is as very strong as it is as a 9k on its own, will give everyone else a 1000 buff as well. So Vincent is now an 8k. Rosso can survive that, but I'm not feeling very good about that. So I'm going to take advantage of his attack and use Sorbet's effect to give Rosso an extra 3000 power. So Rosso's half damage happens. He only has Vincent only deals Rosso 4k worth of damage, as a Rosso is 8k at the time of the damage happening, and Rosso survives. So I decide to block with Rosso as Rosso is still an 8k. And then I realise beforehand I'm a bit screwed if I do that, as Rosso dies and I really want to keep her around. So, and I've got a free block with Cognazo, so I just do that. And the water kick happens, so I was planning on using the Rosso to try and stick around for a couple more turns, but the water kick does kill it. And the attack from Cloud, I lose Shantotto, pretty harsh. With only 2 forwards out though, it's not the worst thing ever, but his forwards are far stronger than mine. And from now on there's going to be a threat of water kick and Clim Hazard non-stop throughout the rest of the game until I deal with them. So I'm a little bit under pressure here. Having 3 Moogles is a pretty much good spot to be in for this point in the game, but losing at Golbez has really set me back. So I decide to play an Odin to kill off the Tifa just to bring the threats down to 1, and then I'll attack with Scar Meglion. Luckily for me, if the starter Cloud is a dull ability, so if I decide to Clim Hazard one of my forwards, while he will kill the Scarm or the Cognazo, he can't then attack with it. So having an extra blocker doesn't make any sense. And it just passes, so I get a free pass. The pressure is alleviated on me somewhat. And for that early in the game, it does feel a bit better. And I myself pass the turn. I've got a couple of options in hand maybe, but I want to keep them in hand to play more Moogles. So then from the rest of the game, I can just pretty much play whatever I feel like. And while Cloud is the only forward out, I can always block with Cognozo unless he come hazards, but that still gives me an extra turn. Now, Alec does have a red 13 in hand, so he can use that to buff his Cloud, but that really wouldn't do anything, as my Cognozo will just simply block and dull to prevent the damage. So that's probably not the right way to go, unless he plans to use Cosmo Memory a couple of turns down the line, which would deal with Scarmiglion and the Cognozo if they're both active at the time. So he just plays a Tifa and goes to declare combat. And thanks to Cloud's buff, Tifa is now 5k, which will trade with Scarmiglion or just take up the block by Cognozo. I decide to block with the Scarm and just trade. It feels a little bit bad, and Cloud just gets blocked by Cognozo. So we're now in the second main phase. I would have probably played the Tama that's in Alex's hand right now and discarded the Vincent, just so you've got both active elements, but that does leave me with less cards to use in the following turns. So I finally find No-No, very, very handy if I'm in a bit of a bad spot. Particularly useful against ice if they try to use a dull damage effect or a freeze effect. I can use No-No's effect to activate as many forwards as I have Moogle. Now they just need to be aware that if you have more forwards than Moogles, you will have to start targeting their forwards. And this happened in pretty much inevitable, and Cognozo goes to the damage zone as well as break zone. Labyrinth Hilda is pretty much Cognozo's weakness. While it's active, it still dies to damage, and there goes the Tama. So pass it to me. I've got 4 Moogles out. It's starting to feel good. I can always. I'm still looking for Golbez. I'm still looking for answers to Cloud, but if I draw a water card, I can use Horn for that. So I'm just doing a little bit of math here, and it is a bit awkward for what I'm trying to do. I think I might have been one short with what I wanted to do. So I'm just saying to Alec, I want to keep them all. I've got about 4 or 5 cards in hand, and I want to keep them all. So I'm willing to take an extra point of damage. A Leviathan EX off the top, very, very good. And that's very, very fortunate. I think Leviathan is the only EX in the entire Moogle deck that I have, and so that almost never ever happens. And against a 6 coster, that is pretty much the best you could possibly hope for. So taking that damage was definitely the right call, and I get to keep all the cards in my hand. Now it just passes at that. It doesn't want to pay the extra cost for the Cloud. And now I've got more than 5 cards in hand, so I do have to start playing stuff. And I think I might have drawn the Golbez, so I'm just checking how many Archfiends I have. And that Cloud bouncing couldn't have gone any better. So now I have a Golbez at 9k that I got for free, and he's just got a 6 coster that bounced. Then I just got a Gertie and a Shantotto, and then I'm a little bit worried about what's going to happen here, but I play the Sephiroth at 8 cost, and I target Tama, and he uses the Tama's effect in response to bring back Lon. So he brings out a Lon out of the Tama. So he got a use out of the Tama, but I did eventually get it into the break zone. So now I have an 8k First Striker with Sephiroth and a 9k Golbez that can do one of 3 things: deal 3k to all of his forwards, double forward, or bring back an Archfiend from my break zone every time I attack. So it's a very versatile card, and I just take the 5th damage here, because unfortunately Lan is the best forward against these 2 forwards, as I can't block either of them. They are both stronger than Lan, so I cannot block them. Goes to Alex's second main, so that Lan is a massive problem. I do have to try and find a way to deal with that. and the Cloud comes out again. Now, one thing to note is that's pretty bad, simply for the fact that if Lan attacks, it actually uses Cloud's power buff to 8k. At that point, I can actually block it with my Sephiroth. So that's something to consider. But if he draws another Cloud, or if he's got Cloud in hand, next turn he can just Clim Hazard the Sephiroth, so it's not even a problem. So I decided to go in here, and I'm still a bit worried about what could happen. I decided to attack with Gobbers and actually get an Archfiend back. Alec wants to block with Cloud, I believe. He is debating it. I do have a lot of cards in hand. And I do have Gertie out, so I can reduce Cloud by 4k power. So it's a lot to consider. I can even use a Hashmon to give it the 1000 if I want to just increase Moogles to 6 and just use that 1000 power buff. So I just decided to take a damage. He's in no rush. He's only on 2 damage now. It's not a big deal, whereas I'm on 5, so I have to take my defense far more seriously. So I'm just checking what I want to play here, because it's quite worrying at this point. So I choose Cognazo, just for hopefully to block the Lan and have a reliable blocker against the Lan, and then I can use my Sephiroth maybe with presenting a Sorbet trigger to try and stop Cloud from attacking. If I can block with Sephiroth and use Sorbet, it will become a 12k blocker at this point. And there's Mont Blanc, so I got rid of Rosso for Mont Blanc. I decided to go full on for the Moogles at this point. So as I say, I could have played the Rosso, but I decided to go full on the Moogle train and have all 5 Moogles out. So now all the Moogles are at their max power without using Hashmon to go into overdrive. That being said, that Lan is still quite a big worry if that Cognazo is dealt with in any way. And Cloud is still a very strong 10k forward, which I will have to use Sorbet if I want to deal with. So just discussing that if Lan attacks, Cloud will get the buff. Will give him the buff to get an 8k, so Sephiroth can block him. So unfortunately, I think he has he's got red 13, not a Clim Hazard, which I didn't expect. But since Alec knows that Lan can now be blocked, he's just going to give Lan the block to try and get Cognazo out of the way without losing his Lan. So Lan is currently 10k, and when he attacks, Cloud will give him an extra 1000 to become 11k. So I am free to block with Sephiroth or Cognazo at this point. I do have quite a few cards in hand, so it's quite a risk, but you do have to attack at some point. The longer it goes on against Moogle Archfiends, that will get less and less in your favour. Especially against some sort of aggro, maybe even mid-range deck, especially with Fire Earth. So I decided to block with Sephiroth here, and then I discarded Hashmill to give Sephiroth into 5k. So Alex just asking, did I just activate Hashmill? And no, I actually did it right this time. I used the Sorbet, the mistake I used in the first game, is now corrected. So Sephiroth is now a 13k first striker until the end of turn. I did lose a Hashmill out of it, but I felt at 5 damage I don't want to take the 6 in case I do start getting bad draws. There's quite a unique bod state here. Quite hard to just take in if you're the opponent of the Moogles what exactly is about to happen. So I decided to attack him with the Golbez at 9k, and oh wow. So he gets the EX Brynhilda off it, killing Cognazo. Unfortunately, Cognazo is dull, and that is active, sorry, and it kills my Cognazo, and now that's one of my most reliable blockers out of the way that I was depending on the following turn. So I really need to take a step back here and think, how am I going to defend? So I choose to use Roboconte that I salvage back, and a Barbarisha just to get more blockers in. Any of these Archfiends, if they die, can always come back with Gorbers if it attacks. The problem if you use any blockers against a Gorbez while Gerdy's out is it might lose 5k after they block, so it's almost like a worse Cyclops for yourself. Losing an extra 2k as a Cyclops. Cyclops is usually bad enough when you're trying to trade, but losing 5k, it's just having effectively a cane trigger every single time you want to block with an active forward is pretty harsh. So Alec plays Selfie, hopefully getting some offense going in the next turn. He still currently has no Earth backups though, so in terms of CP, he is a little bit screwed compared to how he would want to be right now. As it stands right now, so he goes in with a Cloud, goes in for a 10k attack, and I decide to take the 6 damage, and I lose Bahamut. Pretty much the best answer I could have possibly hoped to draw in the next turn to take care of the Cloud and the Red 13. That Cloud has been doing some work. So I've been holding on long enough. I'm going to actually take care of his board state now by doing Hashmal, declaring Moogle as the job title. So now Sephiroth, Gorbez, Barbarisha and Rubicante are all got a 1000 buff, and they're all Moogles, so now I technically have 9 Moogles out on the field till end of turn, amplifying all the Moogles. So I discard Rubicante to use Mont Blanc's effect to deal 9k to Cloud. Then I believe I use... no, I'm just going to come back here because he will take lethal damage if there's no EX burst. I use Gorbez, currently at a 10k, to bring back a Archfiend. And I choose Rubicante. And then Sephiroth as a 9k Moogle. So now even Barbarisha, which would have normally traded, now will actually destroy the Red 13. So I make him lose 6 points here. So it's pretty big of a comeback. I do currently have No out for regaining my guys forwards, but I feel like I really want to bring Cognozo back. So Hashmal, a pretty insane card. So I use a Sora here to bring back a Cognozo back. Now, one thing I didn't think of was a Seraphy into a Tifa, so I just take advantage of Holland's effect here while Hashmal is still in effect to draw 9 cards rather than a maximum of 5. And I have to put 9 back to the bottom of the deck, so I have a lot of choices. And you usually use Horn first to find all the colours you want to keep all of your Moogles at their best. So then I just pass the turn now. So Alec needs to find some kind of answer here. He's in a bit of a bad spot. But as he had no Earth backups, I wasn't expecting any Earth forwards like a Seraphy. And if he plays a Haste Tifa, I can use Gertie before attacking to kill it. And here comes the Seraphy. One thing I was not expecting. Now it does do arguably a misplay here by not bringing back a Haste Tifa. It just depends on what your view is on it. He decides to bring back Cloud, but I could have just used Gertie on it. It wasn't a problem. So we already knew that Alec had pretty much lost at this point. So he's just going to play like Cloud, and we pretty much just said Alec's pretty much just conceded here. I'm just going to play another Hashmal, which I drew into here, just for more Moogle fun. So we now have 9 Moogles. And then I'll draw 9 more cards. We're just showcasing the deck off now, because we've already decided Alec has lost here. So if this kind of game goes really long game, the Moogles can just go to insane levels. So I just choose a couple of cards here. I think I choose one for Mont Blanc, one for Gertie. And yeah, so I think we drew a total of 24 cards around that area. 24 cards in two turns. So I use Mont Blanc as a 9 Moogles to deal 9k, and discard a Golbez of all things to deal to reduce the cloud by 9k and go in for lethal damage. And that's the second game. So yeah, a very close games. Either on either game, either deck could have easily won. The Fire Earth is definitely the more aggressive deck, and if the and as you can see, if the game is to late game, the Moogle Archfiend deck can seriously go out of control pretty quickly. So I really hope you've enjoyed this Duel Series video, guys. If you've enjoyed it, then please leave a like and a comment. Let us know what you thought of the decks shown here. I will leave links to the decks in the description below on FFTCGDB.com. And if you haven't subscribed yet to Crystal Point, then please subscribe. I really hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. And let us know in the comments what else you would like to see for a Duel Series. And until I see you guys then, see ya.